Today, I want to talk about bad art, the importance of making bad art, and the importance of making bad art every single day. I think a lot of people, me included, struggle with the idea that what we make is going to inevitably be bad. It's definitely not going to be perfect, but when you start out, it's going to be quite bad. I've started making music in my spare time, and I know that whatever I make doesn't sound good. It's not a proper song, really. It's hard to make a song. People work their whole lives to make good songs, and I've just been at it for a couple of weeks, and it's very hard. Making songs is very hard, as is drawing, as is playing an instrument, as is writing a story, as is doing anything. The point is, by not making this art, by not making bad art, you're never going to take any strides towards making good art. And for many people, that means I need to practice. And that's definitely true. You should practice playing guitar, you should practice writing. But at the end of the day, the practice is making art. And for many arts, such as making songs and even writing, you have to actually create something. You have to output something. You can't just study sentence structure or study chords. You have to actually try putting stuff together. You have to be vulnerable and put yourself out there and create something that will suck. It's impossible for it to not suck, pretty much, unless you're insanely lucky and gifted, and it's not going to be the case for you. It's definitely not the case for me. I want to emphasize the importance of doing this because it's very easy to fall into a life where you don't create anything. And I think for many years I was in this space where I wanted to be making art. Every day I would think about it. I would think, okay, what's my next idea? What is the next concept for something I'm going to work on? And then what are the things I need to learn to put that together? And by being afraid to make something that sucks, you end up stuck in this brainstorming hell where you're just thinking of different concepts and different pieces that will come together to make something perfect. But you'll never actually make that perfect thing because it doesn't exist. And you definitely don't have the skill to pick the right pieces and put them together in the right way. I'm afraid that by not making good art, you end up in purgatory where all you do is think and plan. And this is such an easy thing to do. And I think most people are in this place. And obviously, not everyone has the time in their day to make art every day. But I think a structured, forced block of time where you're creating, especially something you want to create. For me, this channel is also an example of bad art that I've committed to making every day, hopefully getting less and less bad at it each day, speaking in front of a camera, laying out my ideas, archiving my thoughts. It's something that I think is important and something that I know I'm not good at. I know that there are people online who run laps around me at this skill. And obviously, way, way more people watch their videos for good reason. They're much more palatable, much more concise, well explained. They don't say as much. Just so many reasons why what I do isn't as good. However, if I just studied them and studied and studied and studied and waited until I had the perfect video of me talking about some topic, I would die before I released anything because there is no way to generate that single perfect thing out of pure thinking without doing. If I tried to become an amazing basketball player by watching a lot of Steph Curry and thinking about a lot of shots, it would never happen. I have to go to the park and miss hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of shots in front of other people, and I still won't ever be Steph Curry. But I'll get a lot better at shooting. And I think it's important to be willing to miss shots at the park in front of people, to shoot the worst air balls ever, to put out songs that are completely ass, to write stories that don't really make sense and aren't too compelling. I think this is critical because otherwise you're trapped. I think art is essential to being a human. Creating art is super, super important and is only going to get more and more important as the years go on. And I think if you refuse to let yourself out of this prison of perfection, you will never make anything. I read a book called The War of Art by Stephen Pressfield, I believe, where he spoke about the importance of treating art as a profession, even if you're not a professional. And that's the only way that you'll actually get around to overcoming this resistance that stops you from creating. And I think it's very true. I mean, for me, it's not the same time every day, but having a structured time where you make a hard commitment to producing art, it's funny. I think actually this is something else that I see a lot is people really rebel against structure when it comes to being creative. If I'm scheduling it out, if I'm saying I have to do this no matter what, it'll stunt my creativity, it'll limit my flow, it'll limit my ability to generate as a true artist. And I think this is actually the opposite of true. I think this rigidness, this forced creativity, this structured period of time where you are committing to working on something, to working on a craft, it elicits the most growth possible. It basically forces you, even at your worst time, even when you're tired or exhausted or just have nothing on your mind, to contend with the art you want to make and to ruffle through the recesses of your mind for ideas, to push your brain to actually produce something. And that's where the true growth comes, when it's hardest, actually. Obviously, you do want to also be making stuff when you're in ideal conditions, but by forcing the structure upon yourself, you ensure that you will grow as a person and as an artist. So, yeah, that's all I really wanted to talk about today. The importance of making this really bad, horrible, maybe just mediocre, maybe average, and eventually, hopefully, good art. And doing it with intensity and respect for yourself and consistency. I think it is super underrated. And I know that a lot of people, even in my life, my friends, really want to spend time on artistic ventures, but this idea of perfection gets so far in their head, and it's impossible to overcome without just, putting pen to paper, opening up FL Studio or whatever, Microsoft Word, whatever you want to write on, and just going for it. So hopefully this video helped you. It helps me. It helps me to talk about it, and hopefully the next video is better. Thanks for watching.